Righto guys, we're back, and today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a review on these panniers that I've been using for the last 3 or 4 months. They are the 28 litre Rhinowalk soft pannier system. Let's get into it. So like I said guys, I've had these things for about 3 to 4 months. I've been hanging off the bike for about 7 to 8,000 Ks. So I thought now's a great time to do a little bit of a review on them, tell you what I like about them, tell you what I don't like about them, and hopefully this review helps you guys make the decision as to whether you might want to buy a set in the future, or maybe you might want to go with a different brand. So first things first, design, quality, function, all that kind of stuff. The quality of these things, you're obviously not buying a very high-end set of panniers. They are, however, really well put together for the price that you pay for them though. They are waterproof. They are made out of what they call like a PVC tarpaulin type material, and it's surprisingly durable. In the first outing that I had of these things, I ended up laying over the bike at about 40-50 k's an hour through the bush and it went skating down the dirt road. Walked over to it, picked it up, there was absolutely nothing wrong with them, they were just dirty. So as far as the actual quality of them go, especially for the price that you pay for them, they're surprisingly well put together. Now, they are the typical roll top design like a lot of your soft panniers are. That's obviously what sort of makes them waterproof as well as the material on the outside. You roll them down, clip them down on the outside, helps keep the water out. So as long as you don't completely submerge your bike with the panniers on there, your stuff is going to stay dry for the most part. If you are going completely in the drink on your bike that deep though, you probably have larger problems to contend with. Now, design of these things, they are the typical pannier style that runs down alongside the bike. They have these 2 overlapping straps that are adjustable from the top here, and then down at the front you have one adjustable strap there, and you have one adjustable strap up here, which sort of helps you cinch down the panniers once you've got them in position and make them nice and snug so they don't flop around too much. Where it rolls down on the sides here, you've got these buckles that sort of secure it from unraveling as you're riding it. Also has these other top 2 buckles, I guess for additional security. Not that I feel like you would need them, but they're there anyway. And then down along the bottom, you have 2 buckles which release and help the pannier itself expand, and you can sort of pull that down nice and tight if you don't have a lot in there and you want to fasten what's in there to the pannier itself, making your contents a little bit more secure when you're sending it down the road. Now, as far as fitment go with these guys, they are really straightforward. You have basically 2 loops at the back. You'll find somewhere to put them on. On my bike, I've put them on the rear rack. You just sort of loop them through like a noose, and you'll be able to see the attachment point where it goes through like a little clip, and you fasten that down. I think from memory in the instruction manual, they recommend you fasten it to the bike, cut off the excess, and then just grab a lighter or something like that and melt the end of the frayed bit of material there so it doesn't sort of keep unraveling. I do that on either side, and they just stay on the bike for the most part. So then when I go to chuck the panniers back on there, I don't have to find the straps and put them back on. I can just throw them straight through that little securing link and tie them down nice and tight. It has the exact same thing at the front as well. The only difference is that strap stays attached to the panniers at all times, whereas the back one, it actually stays attached to your bike. Another thing that these guys have done, don't ask me why, but you've got an outside handle here. If you're one of those guys that likes to take your panniers off your bike at night and chuck them in your tent, or take them in your room if you're staying somewhere, you've got 2 handles on the outside. You also have these other 2 handles closer to the seat. I don't know what the purpose for 2 of them is, but I'd much rather have 2 of them than not to have enough, because you can always use that to tie something down onto the bike if you need to. So as far as tying stuff down on these panniers go, you have a fair few little attachment points that are quite useful. The main ones that I sort of use are these plastic D-rings here. They're not crazy high strength, but they don't really need to be for a set of panniers that you might be tying stuff on top to. I normally just run a little strap through them on both sides, slot my tent in the middle and tie it down, and that's sort of where my tent sits, in between those 2 adjustment straps there. It's never gone anywhere, to be completely honest. So whether you're tying your tent there, a sleeping bag, bottles of water, a bladder, whatever it may be. It's surprisingly good with the attachments and the position that they've got them in to be able to strap extra stuff on there. So the next thing is price. I think I ended up paying about $210 or so for these guys. I bought them from Adventure On Store, just an Australian website. Mate of mine bought the exact same set. He got his from AliExpress. I think he paid 160 bucks for them, and I can't tell the difference between them. So bit of a price difference there depending on where you get them, but as far as the market goes, they're pretty competitively priced. You have those big name brands like Tusk, Giant Loop, Krieger, and they can sort of start from anywhere around that $300 to $400 mark and go right up to about $1,000 depending on what sort of system you get. Now, it is definitely worth mentioning, you also do get what you pay for. So buying a set of these, you're not going to expect the same sort of quality out of buying a really high-end set from those other brands. However, as far as bang for your buck goes, they're pretty hard to beat. All right, so I might show you guys a couple of things that you can sort of squeeze in here, give you the dimensions of them. You can sort of have a little bit of a look with your own eye. It makes it a little bit hard when you're just reading numbers off a website, trying to figure out what sort of gear you might be able to fit in there, and then when you get them in person it doesn't work. It can be a little bit frustrating. So in this side here, I've already got one of my tents. It's about 52 centimeters long and I think about 18 centimeters in diameter, so that's already in here. So as you can see, that's just, I feel like a pretty standard run-of-the-mill size tent. Like I said, it's about 52 centimeters long, about 18 centimeters in diameter, and I can fit that in there, no dramas at all. There's a bit of room under the front. You could fit some other stuff in there. I had that rolled down, I think about 4 times. Normally only roll it down 2 or 3. So there's still definitely some space in there. But if you're one of those people that likes to put your tent in your side bag, you don't want to chuck it on the back of the bike or anything like that, you're definitely going to get a decent sized tent to fit in there. We'll just chuck in my sleeping bag. It's about 40 centimeters long, about 25 centimeters in diameter, so it's more of a sort of thicker, bulkier type thing that you would chuck in there. But again, just going to give you guys a little bit of a reference as to hey, what you might be able to fit in there and how easy or hard it will be to fit that. So there you go. So that's pretty well squeezed in there. Stuffed it in pretty hard to sort of get past that elbow, but I feel like that's a pretty normal sized sleeping bag as well, and it doesn't have a compression sack. So if you're using a compression sack to get your sleeping bag down in size a little bit, it's obviously going to fit in there a little bit better, but gives you an idea of, you know, sleeping bag, tent, they're the two obviously key things that I feel like some people might be wondering, hey, can I actually get that stuff in there? So yes, you can, and over the back here, there's definitely some more storage space. So if you're one of those people that just want to put your tent or your sleeping bag or something like that inside the actual panniers instead of on the back of the bike, it will fit, unless you've got some stupidly sized tent, like a 10-person tent or something like that. But yeah, I can fit my stuff in there, so I feel like most of you should be able to as well. Okay, so let's get into some likes and dislikes about these panniers. First off, let's chip off with the likes. Honestly, durability has to be right up there for something that I like about these panniers. So I've given these things a hard time. You can see the look of them, they're still, I haven't cleaned them at all. I just left them muddy and dirty. I've treated them really bad. They've been, you know, rained on, they've been frosted on. I've fallen off on them I don't know how many times, and they just sort of keep going. I haven't torn any of the seams, I haven't broken any buckles. Nothing's really sort of gone on them. So durability would have to be right up there in terms of one of the things I like most about this. The next thing would definitely be the price point. When you're coming in at it sort of from the perspective of, I'm gonna probably treat these things bad, you know, the type of places that I like to ride. You're going to get lantana ripping past them. You're going to, like I said, drop them all the time. You know, the weather, all that kind of stuff. I couldn't see the sense in buying something expensive to know that that's what was going to happen to them. So for the price point, that's definitely got to be another thing on my liked list. Is very affordable for what you get out of these panniers. And the third and final thing I'd have to say about these that I really like is they're just really user friendly. They are only a set of panniers, however, they're really easy to get into. They're great because they have extra attachment points to sort of strap stuff down. I love being able to strap my tent to it, and I can squeeze extra water bottles and stuff behind there in between my back travel bag. I reckon you could put stuff down along the back side of them, strap stuff down along the back side of them with those sort of clips there. They're just a hassle-free type system. And they're really easy to chuck on and off, like once you've got your sort of thing set up with how long you're going to have your straps and stuff like that. They're so easy to chuck on and off. So yeah, definitely got to be the third thing I like about these is they're just a really, really good user-friendly bag. All right, so what don't I like about these panniers? Well, the first thing's definitely got to be the adjustability in these two straps that go over the top here. Now, when I've got a lot of weight in here, carrying, you know, spares, we all know how heavy tubes can get. My tools, they're quite heavy. So carrying a lot of weight in these panniers, especially over some of the harder tracks, the constant sort of washouts that just catch you off guard, the weight of the panniers just jolting down, the buckle across the top of these slowly starts to slip. Find your panniers starting to go down the side of the bike. They just slowly make their way down there, and you have to stop halfway through the day to adjust it. Now, it's not the end of the world, but when you kind of have the bike packed up, it's not just sort of like just a stop and do up your belt buckle. It's pull some stuff off and dick around for a bit. It's the one annoyance. One thing that I really dislike about these, it is quite a minor thing, and you guys that are putting like high volume, low weight things like your sleeping bag or possibly a tent and stuff like that in here aren't really going to notice it at all. It's only when you really start to load these things up with weight, which to be fair, they're probably not entirely designed for, but the more weight you put in here, the more stress you're going to get on that sort of buckle there. And over time of riding, especially like I said on the harder stuff, that's slowly going to start to open up. Panniers are going to slide down your bike a little bit, and you'll have to stop and adjust it a little bit. So one thing I really don't like about these. The next thing I don't like about these is underneath the back side of the pannier, you've got like this honeycomb sort of foam padding that creates a barrier between the contents of your pannier and the bike itself. However, dust gets in between it, dirt gets in between it, water gets in between it. And because I have white plastics, when you take these off, you end up having like this sort of big patch of just brown stained honeycomb. Luckily, I don't have a $30,000 motorcycle where it's a really big deal. I could always just buy new plastics. I know a couple of the boys that have sort of cleaned them up with like plastic cleaner, and it's come good. So it's not really the end of the world, but it is a little bit annoying having it make those marks on there, especially if you just rip them off and you go for a ride somewhere and you haven't really had time to, you know, put a couple of hours into cleaning it properly and stuff like that. It kind of looks a little bit weird, but they are the two things that I don't like about these panniers, and honestly, they're pretty insignificant, I think, but that's them anyway. So who are these panniers for? Well, honestly, I think they fit a bit of a broad range of people. You've got the commuter, the person that just wants to maybe chuck some stuff in before and after work. They want to take a change of clothes or something to the gym. They want to put some groceries in there. This suits people that commute, that just flat out don't want to take a backpack, or they don't want a tank bag or anything else. They just want a set of panniers. These definitely suit that type of person. You've got the newbie the guy that's just got into riding, he doesn't know whether he's going to like it, but he needs something to carry his gear. Maybe he's going to do some moto camping, maybe he's going to do some longer trips or just some short ones. This is definitely going to be suitable to the new guy, especially considering he's going to be probably dropping his bike a bit, like all of us still do. So these are going to be durable and they're going to be cost effective for someone that may not continue to do it. Then you sort of got the people like me. They want a set of panniers that they can do everything with, that they haven't paid an arm and a leg for. They want to be able to drag them through the bush, through all kinds of weather and terrain and stuff like that. Not worry that they've spent maybe $800 or so, whatever the price may be, on a set of panniers that are probably going to sort of get destroyed anyway. You want to be able to do the long trips, you want to be able to do the short trips, you want to be able to do everything in between. So I feel like these panniers definitely suit a broad range of people, and it really depends on what you're looking for. So if you were to ask me, hey, would you buy those again? I would without a question say yes. In the future, I'll definitely be looking at a different set. At some point, I'd like to upgrade to a pannier system that has like the bikini type webbing that sort of goes over the bike, purely because of the reason I gave you for disliking these, which is this middle buckle I feel isn't quite as good as I'd like it to be. But as far as these go, I'm 100% satisfied with them, and I can see myself getting a lot more use out of them. So honestly guys, if you're on the fence about getting a set of these, hope this review's sort of given you enough information for you to be able to either pull the trigger on them or go, you know what, I just don't think I want a set of those because of some of the reasons that Curtis has said. Either way, hopefully this video has helped you make the decision. As always guys, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. And hopefully, rightio guys. And yeah. So I thought, fuck me. What did you think, Curtis? Tell us what you thought. So I thought, and hopefully this 3 or 4 months or so, they are, I had to just slip one in there, just to, for no fucking reason. What a conundrum. I run through some, and I've given them, you had to fucking throw words in there, didn't you, Simmons? You think you're fancy with your words, and then you fuck them up. Like most of your other soft pannier. So I thought this is a pretty good what, mate?